Hello YouTube, today I'm going to talk about how to find the best cheap video game CDs, DVDs, and audiobooks. And then I have the Fallout 3 game here. That's a good game for the PlayStation 3, and there's other Fallout games for the PlayStation 4 and probably for the PlayStation 5. And PlayStation 5 plays PlayStation 4 games. So this is an audiobook on audible.com by author Dan Plouffe, and then you can also, on my YouTube, I'm going to be talking about some of the topics from my Audible audiobooks. So one way to find some of the best cheap video games is to look on pricecharting.com and then click on popularity, and that'll give you the cheapest, some of the cheapest popular games and then some of the expensive popular games. And then you can also organize by price, high to low, and that'll give you the most expensive games. And some of those can be good too as a collector, but if you're looking for cheap games, then that's not the goal. But some of those expensive games can be good too. So by popularity on pricecharting.com, the most popular PlayStation 3 games are NCAA Football 14. That's right now. It could change probably with time. And there's God of War Collection, Lollipop Chainsaw. And then there's Folklore, Silent Hill Downpour, which is a good game. Silent Hill Downpour. It's a horror game. And there's lots of puzzles. And then there's Grand Theft Auto 5, which is also, I think, the best-selling game for the PlayStation 3. And that's another way to find the best cheap video games, is to just Google best-selling games for something like the PlayStation 3 system or whatever system you have. And then on some place like Wikipedia, you'll see the top best-selling games. There's Grand Theft Auto 5 is number 1 with 29 million copies sold. So if something sold millions and millions of copies, it's more likely to have cheaper copies out there in existence than a rare game that's typically has the higher prices on when you organize it by high to low prices on pricecharting.com. So the Grand Theft Auto 5 sold the most copies in PlayStation 3. Next is Gran Turismo 5 with 11 million copies sold. And there was recently a Gran Turismo movie about video game players doing the simulating car driving in this game. And then at least one of them became a real race car driver. The third game down on the list is Last of Us with 7 million copies sold for the PlayStation 3. So you'd Google best-selling games for PlayStation 3 if you have a PlayStation 3. And then these games are likely to be cheaper since there's more copies sold, and if millions of people bought them, then they're more likely to be a better game. And then the next game, I found Fallout 3. You can find that by looking for the most popular games on pricecharting.com and just focusing on the cheaper ones. Then Fallout 3 is one of the cheaper popular games that you can get there. The next game down the list on Wikipedia of the best-selling games is Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, Uncharted 2, Among Thieves, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, Batman Arkham City, Gran Turismo 5 Prologue, Gran Turismo 6, God of War 3, Final Fantasy 13, which is a fun game. It's an RPG game, kind of like Xenosaga. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And then Fallout 3, I think, is technically an RPG game too, because you're collecting different stuff in the radioactive nuclear wastelands, and then it's a comedy game too, so it's kind of like Miracle Workers Season 4, except that you trade bottle caps in Fallout 3 as your currency, and then in Miracle Workers Season 4 with Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter, they trade bird beaks, which is a funny thing to trade, and they'll trade like 50 bird beaks for something. I guess you could use a bird beak as as a weapon, as a tool, and if you boiled it long enough, you might be able to gnaw on it and eat it maybe. The next game down the list of best-selling games listed on Wikipedia for the PlayStation 3 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Grand Theft Auto 4, Batman Arkham Asylum, MotorStorm, which is a racing game, Call of Duty Black Ops, Heavy Rain, which is a fun game, kind of like Beyond Two Souls, Little Big Planet, Beyond Two Souls, Resistance Fall of Man, God of War Collection. God of War games are fun. Batman Arkham Origins, Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga that sold 2 million copies, Killzone 2, Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, Infamous, which sold almost 2 million, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, Dark Souls, Call of Duty World at War. It's a fun game, World War II game of Call of Duty. I think you get to be in both the Japanese islands in the Pacific Ocean and in Nazi Germany type countries. And there's Demon Souls with 1.7 million copies sold, Resident Evil 5, Heavenly Sword, which is kind of like God of War, was fun. Minecraft, PlayStation 3 edition, Red Dead Redemption. I only played a little bit of that, but I've heard by a lot of people it's good. Ratchet and Clank, Future Tools of Destruction. I know at least one of the Ratchet and Clank games you can play as 2 players on the screen at the same time, kind of like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. You can have 2 people on the screen at the same time, same as some of the Nintendo games on the Wii and the Switch. The next game down the list is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch, Dark Souls 2, and MotorStorm Pacific Rift, which is a racing game. So all of these games, since they sold millions of copies, they're likely to be cheaper than games that didn't sell millions of copies. So the best-selling games are likely to be cheaper, and then from those best-selling games you can look through them to narrow it down more to find which of those best-selling games is actually the best game. And then when you look for popularity on pricecharting.com, then you can find Fallout not too far down the list. It's in the top 50 most popular games, and then when you're just looking at the cheap games that are under $15, then Fallout 3 will be one of those games. And they're cheaper as a loose disc than they are with their case. So if you just want to play a game, it's cheaper to get it just as a disc. And then you want it to not be too scratched, so you could look for scratches on the photos on eBay. And then eBay tends to be cheaper than Amazon. And then the cheapest sellers online is usually the thrift stores like Goodwill. They have the cheapest games, and then the games that usually show up at the Goodwill are the ones that are the best-selling ones, like the ones I just talked about from Wikipedia. So on the list of popular games, Silent Hill Downpour is kind of expensive now at over $40. But Grand Theft Auto 5 is a lot cheaper at $8. And then Lollipop Chainsaw is $50 to $66. That's somewhat expensive. So when you're just looking for the cheap games, when you're on pricecharting.com, you can go through the popularity and look for something that is in your price range. So look to see if it's trending at a price under $15 or whatever it is you want. And then you can also organize so then other games on there is like Last of Us. So if they're both on the popular list on pricecharting.com and they're one of the best-selling games on Wikipedia, then they're more likely to be a good game than if they're just on one list. So if they're both the best-selling and the most popular, and then it's more likely to be a good game. And if it also says that it won a lot of awards, then that's also more likely to be a good game too. Usually it says on the game covers. So other games that are popular on pricecharting.com are Call of Duty Black Ops 2. So Black Ops 1 was on the list of best-selling games, and the Ratchet and Clank collection. So that has like multiple games in one, and one of the Ratchet and Clanks was on the best-selling list from Wikipedia. And there's Splatterhouse, 3D Dot Game Heroes. I had that game. It's over $30 now. There's Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, which is really cheap at $6.72 according to the sales history of what actually sold on eBay and Amazon. It lists what games sold for. And then there's Silent Hill Homecoming, Silent Hill HD Collection. Those are Silent Hill 2 and 3 that they brought back to the PlayStation 3 in high definition. There's Minecraft, Red Dead Redemption, which is on the Wikipedia list of best-selling games. Puppeteer, which is over $40. And what happens a lot is if a game is popular but it's not a best-selling game, then it's more expensive. So when there's more popularity and not many copies of it, then it tends to be more expensive. Alice Madness Returns, that's almost $30. That's a fun game, kind of like Mario 64. Call of Duty Ghosts, which is only $4.45. The Sly Collection, that's almost $40. It's also like Mario 64 and Alice Madness Returns and God of War. Demon Souls, Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, The Zero's Wrath, Metal Gear Solid, The Legacy Collection, Spider-Man, Edge of Time, Final Fantasy 13, Africa. Africa is almost $100 to $130. So when games are popular but they didn't sell many copies, those rare games tend to be more expensive. They're not necessarily better though. Armored Core for Answer, Dante's Inferno, which is about $12, also like God of War. Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim, The Simpsons game, which is funny. Jack and Daxter Collection, Ratchet and Clank Future Tools of Destruction. And then you scroll down a bit, and then there's Heavenly Sword from the best-selling list in Wikipedia, so it's on 2 lists. There's Castlevania, Grand Theft Auto 4, Gran Turismo 5, which is on the best-selling list. Ico and Shadow of the Colossus Collection, Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, which is like God of War. X-Men Origins Wolverine, which is like God of War. And then there's Assassin's Creed, which is kind of like Mario 64 also. Third-person game. Infamous, Godfather, Painkiller, which is a first-person shooter. It's over $200 for the complete copy with its little booklet. Drakengard 3, which is like God of War. It's a funny comedy game. And then there's Catherine. And then Siberia, which is $300 if you get it as a disc that's complete, but it's only like $10 or something in the PlayStation Store. I downloaded it. There's Saw, which is $30 or so. It's a horror game from the Saw movies. That was entertaining. Little Big Planet, which is like the old Super Mario World. Nier, which is an RPG game, I think. Sonic the Hedgehog. Infamous 2. Heavy Rain. Grand Theft Auto 4 Greatest Hits. There's Saw 2, another horror game. And some of the most expensive games tend to be horror games, comedy games like Futurama on PlayStation 2, or The Simpsons game on PlayStation 3. And then Fallout 3 is also a comedy game. And then RPG games oftentimes are expensive, but some of them aren't too expensive if they were the best-selling games. And then there's Dead Nation Kills. Portal 2 is a fun game where it's different from most games, where you make holes in walls and you can walk through them to different locations, where you make portals, kind of like wormholes. So that was an interesting game. And then all the way down here is where you find Fallout 3. After scrolling through a lot of games I didn't even read off, but it's still a good game. So that's how you can use pricecharting.com, Wikipedia, and other websites to Google the best-selling games. You can do the same thing with movies and CDs. Look for the best-selling movies, and highest grossing movies is usually the term used, and then those movies that more people see oftentimes are better movies with better graphics, better special effects. That's all it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day. Be sure to like, watch, and subscribe, and put this video in playlists and public playlists on your YouTube channel, and then put all your favorite videos and categories and playlists, and then that'll help this video out. Thanks a lot. Bye.